If you identify as somebody who has a really boring job, then you probably think it looks a little bit like this. Yeah, sure, that's fine. Put me on hold. Green sleeves. Or this. Yeah, I agree. When you think about what it looks like to capture the day-to-day in your business, you are wrong. And let me explain why here in this episode. I want you to come away from this episode today seeing how your day-to-day working life is a zing fest. For the very best in branded headshots, ideas and inspirations, you should definitely consider subscribing to my channel. If you go ahead and hit the bell, you're going to be notified every single Friday when a new video comes out. If you've ever clammed up with thoughts of, yeah, but my day-to-day life is a little bit too boring for branded headshots, then by the end of this episode, I'm going to try and have you start thinking about how your monotony is actually another person's intrigue, and also sometimes it's education on showing people how they can give you their hard-earned money in exchange for your fabulosity. I've had my own headshots photography business for 8 years now. If you've never seen my work, then you need to know that I go to great lengths to bake in a lot of narrative to make sure that all of the business branded headshots I create convert like crazy. Ask yourself this question to begin then. How many versions of you are there when you're at work? As a photographer, there are 2 extremely different versions of me in my daily working life. So I can be photographer Laura, where I'm out being really social with people, carrying a lot of equipment, usually running around to get there in time, talking with people, being social, networking a lot, and I'm kind of on, and I like to make sure that I'm glam when I'm doing that. This is then paired with very long periods of time of me working alone. Sure, I might go out and do a little bit of co-working, but I'm not ashamed to say that I do some of my lone working still in PJs. Shh, don't tell anyone. So when thinking about this for me in my business and headshots, I could look at how I could capture these 2 very different versions of myself to explain what it's like in my daily working life. This is a great way to go back and think critically about your existing headshots. Now, if you've just rinsed and repeated one tiny little aspect of your daily working life, that's going to start coming across a little bit lackluster and a little bit boring. So if your headshots have always been really posed out, you thought that it was really important that you go to your city centre and wear your most smart outfit, then maybe it's time to start thinking about how does it actually look when you show up at work? And are there different versions of you when you're at work? What could that look like in terms of branded headshots? Lawyers are really good at making this exact mistake when it comes to headshots. In my 8 years experience, they'd always much prefer to talk about having glossy headshots of them either sitting at their boardroom table, holding a pen randomly, or having them in their new slick offices or out in their city centre, all in suits, all majorly corporate. Instead of showing themselves dealing with clients, talking to judges, handling the law, and showing the passion behind what it is that they do. Sure, in this instance, we would need to find a mock court setting. It's actually illegal, I think, to go in and use a court of law for glossy headshots. And I don't know if I could ever really persuade a judge to be a model, but I could for sure find real life looking models who could pose in the positions of ideal client and somebody else that the lawyer needs to deal with in their daily working life. This is not an impossible feat. Take a look at this quick image from my archives of photography. Now, this was actually a fashion photo shoot, but I photographed it in a fake court. And this fake court was inside a university where students would go and practice what it was like to be a barrister and get a feeling of what it was like to present in a court scenario. Looks like a real court, but it ain't. Try this then. Try and list out all of the different variations and think about all of the different hats you have to wear in your job. Have you ever done work when you're on the school run through your phone when you're waiting for the kids to come out? Do you actually always go and meet clients for beers when you're just about to close the sale? Or do you prefer to go to work with your dog every day? These are the things that you could think about of making your headshots really personal. Next question then, to dig a little bit deeper. What's the bit that you think you want to hide the most? There's a good chance that at this point in the video that you've already decided a bunch of things that you do at work would never be acceptable to show on headshots. Maybe they're just really, really boring, or maybe you've decided that they're really unglamorous. 3 things spring to mind. So sitting there doing your books, cleaning out a stock cupboard, or just general multitasking. Like maybe you're running around the grocery store, getting the week's shopping in with one of your children, and at the same time, you're going through and checking your Facebook notifications. I don't know. This is a really hard one to try out, but do just that. Sit with this and think about all of the things that you would definitely never tell a headshots photographer about what it looks like in your daily life at work. The reason I say this is because actually sometimes the most unglamorous setups make for the most beautifully branded headshots, and they have to be reimagined by a creative or a team of creatives to make it at a level that you're comfortable with. And actually it could be your whole thing. You could start to be recognized around the world for this one unique thing, but actually everyone else in your industry already does it, but they thought that it was unacceptable to share it, especially through headshots. Here are 2 real-life headshots examples that both involve trees. This is Michelle. She has a virtual business and she works on the metrics of her clients' businesses to help them make informed marketing decisions. In a conversation together when we were planning, she said that she felt like she was a gardener. So she goes in and she helps creative-brained business owners like me take out all of the weedy ideas so that they can then go back and concentrate on all of the things that make them easier money. But then she quickly added, after she told me this, but hang on a minute, Laura, I don't want to look like a gardener or a horticulturalist in my headshots. So we started dabbling with the expression of saplings to oak trees. And this is how these headshots came about. Michelle really stands out now from the rest of her competition. How many marketers can you think of who have a whole tree subtext flowing through their brand? Let's switch over and talk about Ceryn. Ceryn provides soul-led therapy. A lot of the time, this is delivered to clients around the world with online tools. Now, it's safe to say that sitting on Skype or Zoom is not the most glamorous thing to add into a headshot session. We all do this, don't we, day to day? Ceryn came to me with a very strong vision of shooting together at sunrise in the early springtime. She and her beautiful dog, Callie, walk there together all of the time, and she goes to the same location as our shoot was actually shot at very early on every single New Year's Day, where she thinks and plans what she wants to do with the year ahead. This has resulted in some really inspirational headshots. The narrative of being outdoors, embracing nature, being at one with yourself is all baked right into these headshots, and that's how Ceryn shows up when she's working with her people around the world. Now it's your turn, so I want you to grab a pen or make a little note on your desktop and write who, what, when, where, and why. Who do you work with? What do they look like? How could they feature in headshots? What does it really look like when you're doing the most dull and unglamorous things in your working life? When do you really work in the day? Are you a night owl? Do you like to get up early? Do you follow the rest of the population and do the 9 to 5 thing? When do you really get your best work done? And what does that actually say about you as a person? Where do you really work? I've heard the expression toilet time. People do toilet time for social media. I don't personally enjoy that. I know people who take a shower when they want to get an idea. I personally love taking some time out sometimes, and I work from my bed. It's totally, free and easy these days. But where do you really get your best work done? And why? What is your why? Have you followed why you do the thing that you do? Why does it fuel you so much? Why is it so passionate to you? When you've really figured out the answers to all of these questions, you have a whole wealth of really good, unique ideas that are totally personal to you, and you should totally give that information to your branded headshots photographer so that they can muse on it and come up with a fresh interpretation and a really good shoot plan. If you're feeling brave, why don't you comment below and tell me what your who, what, when, where, and why is? Or if you're a little bit shy, feel free to DM it to me on Instagram. The link is here. Now, before you go anywhere, don't forget to subscribe. Mwah.